I did want to ask you some things about the early days with Ewan Page.
Oh, yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Ewan Page and the other person we should talk about is S.W. Roberts. They both contributed early papers to the first issues of Technometrics, early issues of Technometrics. And Ewan Page put in I think the major expository article on cumulative sum charting back in those days, and that became quite a rage, and still is very, very popular as a quality control charting technique. You know, you teach Schuhart, and then I think you teach Q-sum almost always in that sequence. And then S.W. Roberts came along with what he called the geometric moving average, which we quickly renamed. I should have been more alert as an editor back in those days, but at any rate, the geometric moving average is the exponentially moving average. So that's the introduction of the EWMA to the body politic of working statisticians. So both those charting techniques, I think, got not their really truly initial, but their principal introduction to the statistical fraternity via Technometrics. Good for Technometrics. Yeah. That's what it was for. And we spent a lot of time with Ewan Page. I forget now the name of there's some guy that got very, very wound up about the cumulative sum chart, and we could hardly turn him off, I remember, for a long time.
Well, now Jim Lucas did a lot.
Well, Jim Lucas did a lot of work on the cumulative sum too. Yeah, yes. He was always been a great advocate. That's not the gentleman I have in mind though. But Jim's a good illustration. Oh, yeah. You get hooked on it, and he was, replaced the V mask with by putting two parallel lines on, so it looked more like a Schuhart chart and all that sort of technique to make the thing acceptable to a wider audience. And of course, I've been a big fan of the EWMA. I think the EWMA is the one we should use. And I would like to argue that's the one we should teach right from the start, because it's a time series. You're plotting. The only thing the trouble with the Q-sum chart, well, not the Q-sum, but the Schuhart chart, possibly, the constant in all the conversation is the target value. How far are you away from the target? And of course, I believe that my view is that the mean, the expected value, is always in motion, and what you want to do is keep the mean as close as you can to the target value. And for that purpose, I think the EWMA is the appropriate statistic. And of course, the EWMA turns out, thank you, Box and Jenkins. We haven't talked about Gwilym. Box and Jenkins it's a ARIMA model. It's a 0-1-1 model. It's a moving average of order 1 on the first difference. But that means that it's monitoring a non-stationary process. A non-stationary process will have the mean in motion. And so you're monitoring a process in which the expected value of the process is moving away from the target value, and you're trying to keep it on the target, of course. So I'm much in favor of it. And I think we made it complex by, the name is very complicated, and to demonstrate it algebraically, you have to have, but it's easy to plot. Always plot the EWMA one step ahead.
One step ahead.
One step ahead. It's the forecast. Then in comes the next observation. All right? The next forecast, in other words, EWMA, tomorrow's predicted value is today's predicted value plus half the error, or 4/10 the error, or put that there. Then comes the next observation. Tomorrow's predicted value is today's predicted value plus half the observations. And it's so easy to plot. And once you show it to somebody, oh yes, and it avoids all the detailed superscripting and y-hatting and so forth that goes with the algebraic expression. Anyway, I'm a great fan of the EWMA, and we should be all using the EWMA.
Yeah.